This week's video is in collaboration with Kent Faith. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And a welcome back to one of my old stomping grounds as well. I've not been here for a while. We're back at Bedford Purlius. Reason I've not been down here for a while is obviously as the channel was more switched over to wildlife photography, I've been going to other places as it's not that grand for wildlife work down here. I did come down here previously to do a video and it never actually even made it out because it wasn't that good. Surprising, because it's a lovely little nature reserve. Now, no wildlife photography this week, back for some woodland. We're in autumn, my favourite time of year, kicking the leaves. And yeah, as you might be able to see from behind me, it's still quite green. I've been getting a bit of FOMO. Been walking around places and going to certain areas and seeing beautiful golden trees and some quite bare trees actually. So I've been like, I've got to get out with the camera. Got to make the most of autumn. I've come down Bedford Purlius and it's not that autumnal, which is mildly interesting. There's a lot of leaves on the floor, but the treetops are still quite green, although where the sun is, it's actually starting to glow it up. Now, it is early morning. I've come out first thing on a Sunday in sheer desperation to capture autumn. And yeah, who gets up at this time on a Sunday morning? But yeah, so the light is still quite low. Now, in this week's video, I actually owe you an apology. Now, the reason I owe you an apology is because a few videos back, I did a review of the K&F Concept nano-x Pro circular polarizer. And when I say review, I didn't actually review the filter. What I actually did was I centered the video around a theme that I wanted to do. So I spoke about that and I gave you the tech specs, but I never actually said whether the filter was any good or not. So in this week's video then, what I actually want to do is I want to properly review the CPL filter from K&F Concept, the nano-x Pro. And I also want to talk about using a CPL for woodland photography. Now, I've already grabbed my first shot. It was not great, but it was something that caught my eye. And I've grabbed a picture of it. Don't know if it's come out all right or not. It's one of those where I could see it in person and it looked all right, but it just didn't sit right on the back of the camera. But I've taken the picture and a composition that I'm fairly happy with, but I just don't know if it looks right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep cracking on through Bedford Purlius, going to try and find some more autumnal shots. Not down here for very long. I've actually got a busy day, which is part of the reason why I'm up early this morning. And I'll stick it up for you guys now anyway, while I crack on through, see if we can find any more lovely, colourful autumnal shots.
From your mom and your dad, you're in town, and that you're meeting some friends for sundown. I've been told, I've been told.
Okay, so next shot then, and it's another one that I'm not overly happy with. It's a shot I've taken previously, facing the other direction because I think it was a different time of day and the light was obviously in a different angle, but it is a shot that can demonstrate one of the reasons why I use a CPL for woodland photography. Let's actually head into the camera and we'll discuss this further. Okay, so with this then, if you actually look down the front of this image, there it is. If you actually look down the front of there, what you'll be able to see is it's quite nice and dark, and that's because I'm utilizing the circular polarizer at present. Now, if I just take the polarizer and I just turn it, you can see that glare just start to appear just down here. Let me just adjust it back again. Oh, I'll stick my fingers across the lens. There we go, just keep watching this bit. Look how much glare appears in that. Turn it again. Gone. So now you can actually see why I use the circular polarizer. It helps cut through that glare, and especially at this sort of time of year when the weather is quite damp in general anyway, it allows you to cut through that, to bring through the crispness of the color rather than your image just coming out really shiny. So massive, massive advantage to using a circular polarizer with Woodland Photography. It'll also obviously cut out any glare on the leaves in the trees, not just in the sort of the foreground and the ground level leaves, on the tree branches, things like that. It's like the stuff falling out of the tree at me then, it made me jump. So yeah, fantastic. There is another reason why as well, and we'll come back and talk about that later on in the video. I'll stick this image up. As I say, it's not a grand one. I've taken better of this exact same scene, but this was just to purely highlight actually using a circular polarizer when taking woodland photography. Look at that lovely glow just coming in from this side. I don't like getting up in the morning, but I can't deny how nice it is to be out in this kind of weather. It's so still and calm. But what I will say is when I pulled up this morning, I checked the temperature on my car, 6 degrees. We are definitely into autumn, heading into winter, fresh cold mornings, but it's not a breath of wind at the moment, which is a blessing, and it makes it not feel as cold as it actually is. If it was a bit breezy this morning, there was a bit of a chill in the air, it'd be horrible. Anyway, enough about the weather. I'm sure the fellow British people already understand what our weather's like. So, just been blocked from the sun. Let's talk about this CPL then. So first things first, I want to mention one of the things with cheaper filters, and I will say this about the K&F as well, it is definitely cheaper than a lot of the big brand names. Obviously, if you want to check it out, check out the affiliate link that I will put down in the description. Even if you just want to read more about it, even if you're not interested in purchasing it, if you just want to read more, or if you are contemplating getting a CPL, obviously appreciate if you do use the affiliate link, but that's not what I'm trying to push here. What I want to say is that it is one of the cheaper filters. Now, I got the 95mm filter because I wanted to use it for bird photography, so needed to put it on the Sigma 150-600 lens. I then, with my own money, bought a step down ring to go from 95 to 82mm, which meant I could mount it on front of the Samyang 35-150, and also my Sigma 24-35 is also an 82mm, so if I wanted wider, I'm covered. Anyway, so it is one of the cheaper filters out there, but it is their nano-x Pro series, so it's the top of the range one that K&F do, or Kent Faith. And one of the things with cheaper filters is that they usually have an issue with colour tints in their images. Now, after my trip to Burnham's Mere, one thing I can certifiably say, with the images that I shot there, at no point was there any colour tinting in the images. Sometimes you see them turn out a bit magenta. This was not the case with this filter. It tends to be more prevalent in ND filters, but it is still there in CPLs, and I found no issue at all. So big win in that respect. Another thing I will say as well as part of the review is, as you saw from previous, it works. It does the job that a CPL is required to do, and that is cutting through the glare. Wasn't so prevalent with the bird photography from the last review video, but you could really see there how it cut the glare out on those leaves, specifically in the foreground more than anything, but it really did help in that respect. So big plus point there. It's not like, oh yeah, it's a CPL, apparently the footpath's down this way. Let's have a wander through here. I might descend into darkness because the sun's just gone behind me. So there you go. 2 points as part of this. Jesus, I have gone dark. 2 points as part of this review then. First of all, no colour tinting. Secondly, it does the job that you're after. So we'll come back and talk more about the filter in a bit. As I don't want to descend into darkness. Let's crack on, see if we can find a decent woodland image this morning. Why is it, whenever you come out to do one type of photography, today's example, woodland, do you get presented with what would have made a perfect picture for wildlife photography? I was literally just walking down this bit I'm in now, and I'm just having a slow bimble looking for photos because I'm kind of struggling a little bit, and a deer walks out into these ferns, stands there, looks at me for a minute and runs off. I mean, how much more of a perfect autumnal shot would that have been? This gorgeous big deer it was. No antlers, so it was obviously a female or a youngster, whatever. But literally walks out into these beautiful brown ferns and stands, stops, looks at me, there a few seconds, and then runs off. I so know if I'd have brought my wildlife camera out today, I'd have seen nothing but woodland compositions. Always the way, always the way. So yeah, struggling a little bit right now with the compositions. Be nice if I had a little bit of mist or something. The ferns have got a beautiful brown colour, but there's no compositions that encompass both that and the colours in the trees and stuff. The area I'm in now has got a bit more of the lovely golden leaves and stuff. Actually, you can see behind me, sort of here-ish. But it's all just not taking my fancy. Maybe if there was a bit of mist or a bit of fog, we'd get something better. But I'm going to come back and talk about the second reason why I like using a circular polarizer in woodland, and especially in conditions like this where there is no fog and mist, because realistically you don't need to use anything to push the atmosphere and stuff because you have that fog and mist. But in a situation like this where it's a perfectly clear day, there's no signs of any misting or fog or anything like that, using a circular polarizer really does help, because point two, it really brings out the colours and the saturation in your images. Now, that's basically it. There's not much else to summarise with that. I don't know if it's because it just cuts out the glare, but it really does add some punch to your pictures. So if you're trying to use it for autumnal colours, it just helps bring that colour through. Yeah, there's no other way to put that other than it makes your images look more colourful, and it really, really does. And I'm going to come back to the K&F Concept one as well. One thing I noticed about the birds in flight photos that I was taking, because I had that low morning light like I've got at the moment, when I took the pictures of the swans, I'll stick one up now, it really did bring out gorgeous skies, which is another advantage of a CPL. It brought out the lovely blue in the sky, but it also brought out the colour on the swans from the sun. And that CPL did it perfectly. So really, really happy with the performance of the nano-x Pro series filter. A couple of other points as part of the review. The movement on the front is lovely and smooth. It's not too stiff, it's not too loose, it just spins around or anything like that. It's really sturdy built. It is nice and thin as well. So I've obviously got it at the moment mounted on a step down filter so that it fits on an 82mm filter thread, because it's the 95mm thread filter, and there is no vignetting at 35mm. It is nice and thin even when mounted on a step down. So yeah, big bonuses. Also as well, the thing is solid. It's not made of flimsy plastic, it is made of brass, so I've got no problems with, as I say, it's got a solid case with it. I've got no problems throwing it in the case, throwing my bag and worrying about whether the plastic's going to crack or anything, or in use. Now you will have seen an example of that when we looked at the reflections and the glare that was in the leaves. You would have seen how smoothly I was able to move that, even though I kept sticking my hand over the front of the shot. So yeah, so far 10 out of 10 for the nano-x Pro filter. So yeah, right, I'm going to crack on. I'm not going to be down here much longer because I'm really struggling. As I say, I've got stuff to do today, going to see family. So yeah, let's go see if I can actually find one shot that I'm really happy with.
Getting lost is time not wasted, as long as it's with you.
Okay, so I think I'm going to sign out. I'm just not feeling it. Bedford Purlius, you've let me down. It's not something I've ever actually said before. But to be honest with you, I mean, I've entered an area where it's definitely a lot more golden and the autumnal colours are better, but they're just not, it's just not photogenic. The conditions for me are just not working and I'm feeling really unenthusiastic about it. I think that's probably the best way to summarise it. I'm just not seeing anything other than the potential shot I'm looking at now. I may whip the camera out and grab this shot before heading back to the car. But the shots that I've taken today were purely just to sort of demonstrate using a CPL for woodland photography. And I also wanted to do a secondary review of the circular polarizer itself, because I didn't really review it when I used it last time. So realistically, let's just summarize the K&F Concept Kent Faith nano-x Pro circular polarizer. So the one thing I can say is it's a brilliant filter. Value for money, I can't deny. It's, yeah, when you compare it to some of the bigger name brands that I've used previously, such as Kokin and Format High Tech, it performs as good as any of those. Now the filter was slightly more on the expensive side because it was the 95mm, so it's a large filter. I don't know many other companies who actually make CPLs in that size. I do know for Sony users that the 200 to 600 has a 95mm filter thread, and the Sigma 150 to 600 also has a 95mm filter thread. So if you're interested in using it for your wildlife photography, head over to my affiliate link in the description and have a look. Obviously, don't forget as well, use the coupon code Mike at checkout for 17% off site-wide. And yeah, let's just actually talk about this filter then. So it performs admirably against all the other ones that I've used previously. There is no color tinting. It's easy to use, it's thin, it's solidly built. Realistically, for a circular polarizer, it's a 10 out of 10. I'm more than happy to continue using it. Little bit of CPL advice: buy the size for your lens with the biggest filter thread, and then get step down rings. The better step down rings are obviously thinner, so don't just go out and buy a cheap one that ends up really thick and causes issues there. But yeah, that would be my bit of advice. Buy the biggest so that you can use it across all of your lenses, and then any that you need a step down ring for, buy them separately. Highly recommended the K&F Concept, Kent Faith, nano-x Pro CPL. It's Mikey approved. Yeah, I've had no problems with it at all. The 2 shoots that I've done with it so far, it's performed admirably. Value for money, cannot fault it at all. So there you go, there's your review, and also today's topic of why I use a circular polarizer for some of my woodland work. I use it for popping colour and removing glare, just to help with conditions. So yeah, there you go, a review and a topic. Yeah, busy video. So I'm going to stop rambling to you guys now. I'm going to try and line up this shot and see if it comes out all right. If it does, I'll stick it up for you at the end. Yeah, a little bit disappointed with the pictures today and Bedford Purlius. Should have gone down to Home Fen. I knew I should have done, but I've been down to Home Fen a lot recently and didn't want to just keep going down there. But it's such a vast area with such beautiful trees and stuff. Yeah, maybe next time. So, right, well, obviously, if you've liked the video, give us the old thumbs up and drop some subscribes from down the bottom. And yeah, this is Mike out. Take care and be safe, everyone. Peace.
Shadow in the dark left me with a burning heart. Summer comes and goes, they say, but with you, darling,